2018 December challenge. If you watched the last video and saw that I was trying to decide between Mars in the 8th or Mars in the 7th to talk about today, if you chose Mars in the 8th, you were correct, because that's what we're talking about today, okay? So I was really battling between whether or not I thought Mars in the 7th overlay or Mars in the 8th overlay deserved my top 5 spot, because we only have number 5 left. Okay, here's what it's looking like right now. In first place for the Mars overlay that has the most sex, and which I would also say the best sex, Mars in the first house overlay. Second place is Mars in the second house overlay. Third place is Mars in the 12th house overlay. Fourth place is Mars in the 5th house overlay. And fifth place, the top 5 list, is going to be Mars in the 8th house overlay. Still, Mars in the 8th can be a little bit of a toughie in the initial stages. These two are not really sure if they like each other or even find each other physically attractive. You guys are definitely not each other's normal type. I think everyone has a type, and maybe it isn't as easy to translate as other people's types, but yeah, I think there's just something that's based on your habits and conditioning and a bunch of other different factors that you gravitate towards. And this can change. Your type can also change over years, you learn more information. But they do sort of kind of turn up and somehow enter your life without you necessarily bringing them in. Maybe this is someone you walked by, never thought to talk to or mention, and then suddenly the person that you're friends with brings their friend who is that person. Or maybe you guys went to the same school but didn't have any classes together, and then suddenly you have a class together, and there's a group project where you guys are in together and kind of forced into that situation. And first impressions are not usually positive, and this is on the Mars person's end and the house person's end. It's not necessarily negative, but it's kind of like that person does something that kind of ticks you off. And it makes you think yeah, I'm just keep minding my business and looking that way and not even worrying about what the heck is happening over here. So it's almost like this connection starts off as an ick. But this person usually keeps hanging around, and the closer that they get to you, it's like you suddenly develop the physical attraction, even if you guys don't have any further conversation. But the more you see them, the more they're closing in that physical distance with you and just becoming more and more familiar with you, you really start to learn more, kind of go underneath of what this person is like. And in learning them, you form this physical attraction. The thing is, the more you learn, the more you dig deep, you realize that one another has either something that they're hiding, a little bit of a mystery, very similar with the 12th house, but you kind of do get a sense that they're wearing a mask and you resonate with that kind of lifestyle where you're wearing a mask and you're hiding something, but you think that no one can seek it out. But it's almost like when you see it in someone else, you're kind of wondering, do they see that in me? Mystery with the 12th house is a little bit more just why am I drawn to you? With the 8th house mystery, it's more that you know exactly what it is, and you understand what it means to hide as well. And then with the 8th house, the next step after that is, I feel like this person can really understand me. On the surface, they don't look like what they are, but it doesn't matter because that is not what they are. Deep down, they are me, and I want to build a relationship with someone who understands me to that level. But sometimes with this overlay, you guys don't get over that first part of that first ick, and you don't get the opportunity to actually uncover more. That takes really a bit of time. Like I talked about in the second house, this is another house that takes a little bit of time to form that connection. Time can also double in experiences. Now, if you guys are doing multiple things and hanging out every single day in the same group, things might develop a little bit quicker than with two people who have this overlay who don't have the ability to see each other more than once a month in the same group. The house person generally in the beginning does not know that the Mars person develops eventually a physical attraction to them. I feel like sometimes, honestly, the house person always had the attraction to them from the beginning, but kind of like gets this ick and then doesn't look back. The Mars person gets the ick immediately. Then later on, like, just turns around and wants to pursue them and suddenly finds them physically attractive. So the Mars person, as Mars does, ends up initiating that first physical moment between the Mars person and the house person. And it's kind of like this roller coaster feeling, because it's like, I never knew you felt this way. And then also, oh my god, you don't know that I actually didn't like something about you, but now that you're into me, I like you. And I don't know if that's the only reason why I like you, or is it because I always liked you but I hid that from myself. There's a lot of questions with 8th house, right? After you guys have that first physical moment, it really starts to take a turn upward. But then you hit another hump. With the 8th house, it has to deal with resources. The Mars person usually enters the 8th house person's life and starts to drain them of their resources, their time, their money, anything that they hold of value to them. So sometimes the house person really feels like they're being robbed. Like they're not really getting the right balance for the amount that they feel that they're losing in this relationship. So here's why it's number 5 on my list. It's very hot. It's spicy, don't get me wrong. Like, the physical aspect here is chef's kiss. But there are a lot of obstacles seemingly that like need to be overcome for some reason with this overlay. And if people don't know how to handle the energies properly, this can really end earlier than it's supposed to and just not really have the time to develop. But if 2 people are willing to work on it, there is hope and possibility here, an open road for a long-term relationship with this overlay. I think this Mars in 8th house overlay is especially testing. It's kind of like, are you willing to see this person at their worst and still accept them? And if both parties agree and say, you know, after all the drama in the beginning, both parties agree and say yes, it's really hardly likely that there will be drama like that ever again in the relationship. Like, something else has to like really drastically change in each individual's life for something close to that to start happening again. But once you get over the storm, it really becomes like till death do us part. But yeah, that's what we got right now. Let me know which Mars overlay you want to hear about next, and I'll catch you at the next one.